Let's get back to the State of the Union address. Among the many realities that were made clear last night by the president is that the president himself and the Democrats as a whole are all in when it comes to running on abortion in 2024. In fact, one of the sad moments last night in the speech to me was the cheering, the celebration that the Democrats were having over the killing of babies. It was just, I was shocked watching how they were cheering as the president was talking about their commitment to abortion. Look, killing babies has certainly become a primary part of the Democrats' agenda in this upcoming election. And so none of us can say that we don't recognize just how high the stakes are in this upcoming election. Well, joining me now to discuss how last night's State of the Union address demonstrated the president's commitment to abortion is Mary Szoch, the director of the Center for Human Dignity here at the Family Research Council. Mary, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you.
Thanks so much for having me on, Jody.
All right, I thought this was a pretty brutal reality that came through loud and clear last night. The president absolutely did not hide at all how important abortion is going to be to his re-election campaign. Let me get your thoughts on that.
He certainly didn't. And what President Biden is trying to do is to enshrine abortion on demand, the killing of an unborn child on demand through 9 months of pregnancy, into American law. And he is trying to overwrite state laws that are protecting unborn children that have been put into place by legislators. Now, we know that people shouldn't be voting on who lives and who is able to be killed legally. But what President Biden is trying to do, what he's supporting, is killing an unborn child. He said, what else would you take away? Well, President Biden, you're trying to take away an unborn child's life, a sweet little baby's life. That's a question that Americans should be asking themselves right now. What is President Biden actually trying to do here?
Yeah, if you take away a life, what else is there to take away? I mean, this is just the absurdity of it all. And yet he claimed that Republicans are the radical ones in all of this. In fact, he spent a lot of time last night yelling throughout his speech, but he yelled about codifying Roe v. Wade. In fact, I'd like to play clip 5 here and get your reaction to this.
Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
All right. Again, Roe v. Wade was not the law of the land. Let's get that straight. But give me your reaction to this, and what legislation is he actually referring to?
Is referring to legislation that would put us on par with human rights violators like North Korea and China that allow a child to be killed minutes before they're born, seconds before that child's born. And we know for a fact that this does happen, that there's evidence pointing to this happening just blocks from the White House at Cesare Sant'Angelo's abortion clinic in Washington, D.C. So what is extreme? It is taking a human being's life. That's what he's taking.
Well, the First Lady brought, and I'm sure most everyone who watched saw that. For those who obviously didn't see the program, need to know that the First Lady had with her a guest, a woman who recently obtained an abortion out of state after learning that her preborn child had evidently some serious fetal anomalies. But you have studied the compassionate option of perinatal hospice for pregnant women who had some sort of adverse prenatal diagnosis. I found your study to be fascinating. What did you find in that?
Well, for a second, Jody, if I could, I'd like to talk about having Kate Cox there. And notably seated next to Kate Cox was Maria Shriver. Now, Maria Shriver's mom was Eunice Kennedy Shriver, and her dad was Sergeant Shriver. They were Democrats at a time when Democrats weren't afraid to stand up for life, when being a Democrat didn't mean that you supported killing an unborn child up until the moment of birth. And Maria Shriver's mom founded the Special Olympics organization. And she was a huge advocate for people with disabilities, including those in the womb. And she saw the attack of abortion as an attack that would lead to eugenics. And that's exactly what we're seeing Democrats using as their lead today in their argument for abortion, that they want to have abortion throughout pregnancy so that a person who has found that their child has a poor prenatal diagnosis can be aborted up until the moment of birth. In our study, we found that when these women are supported, they are overwhelmingly confident in their decision to carry their child to term. Over 85% said that they were very confident in that decision. And that's a really beautiful thing, that all these women need is a little bit of support. We found too that these women were overwhelmingly told to abort their child, and that's a tragedy.
I wanted to get your reaction to a clip we actually showed a little bit earlier in the program, but I'd like to get your reaction to this. And it basically comes down to President Biden continuing to echo a false narrative regarding the Alabama Supreme Court ruling last month. So if we can, let's play clip 4, and I'd like to get your reaction.
The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to AVF. Guarantee it nationwide.
All right, there's a lot of issues in what the president just said, but give me your reaction.
Well, first off, he's wrong. The Alabama Supreme Court did not shut down IVF clinics across the state. In fact, the Alabama Supreme Court case was brought by a couple who pursued IVF, it wasn't some zealously anti-IVF group who brought this. It was a couple who had used IVF, and this couple was heartbroken because 3 of their unborn children, 3 of their embryos were destroyed because the IVF clinic was so reckless that a random patient was able to walk in there and smash these embryos. But we know that you can't even walk into a CVS and ask for a razor without someone from the front desk coming and needing to unlock the cabinet where it is. Yet in this clinic, a random person was able to smash these embryos. What the Alabama Supreme Court ruled was that an unborn child is a person regardless of their location. And this is actually a really good ruling for all of us because it means that the government can't just decide that where we are or what our state in life is determines whether or not we have the right of being a person. And that's a really good lesson for all of us.
It certainly is. Well, Mary, a final question here for you real quickly. There's no doubt this issue, the life issue, the abortion issue, the death issue is going to be a major primary agenda item for the Democrats. How then should the pro-life movement as a whole respond between now and November as this election comes before us? Given what all was said last night and given the fact that the stakes on this issue are extremely high, how should we respond?
Well, I think first we always need to listen to hear what the other side is saying. If they're saying that a woman can't achieve success in her career if she's pregnant, or a woman can't get out of poverty if she's pregnant, we need to say, well, let's address the actual problem in this issue. And the problem here is not a child. The problem is that we need to create an environment where women can succeed while being mothers. We need to speak with love and compassion about the issue of abortion, and we need to do so in specifics. We need to tell the stories of the men and women who are alive today who have survived abortion attempts on their life that prove that abortion tries to take the life of an unborn child. And we need to always say what we're for. We're for defending a human being's life. And that's a beautiful thing to stand for.
Yeah, great point. This is all a battle for life, and we are standing for the life of babies. Mary Szoch, always great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for your expertise and for breaking down what was said last night and how we need to respond to it. We appreciate it so much.